live studio audience.
Yes. Let's go. What's up, bro? We got a podcast in the Metaverse, bro.
Yeah. Who knew that this is what it was all building up to through the entire first season? And now we are here kicking off season 2 with all of you guys, a live studio audience.
Let's go. Every Tuesday.
A podcast. We didn't even know what was happening. We were 15 episodes into this.
It seems to be helping and impacting a lot of people. We'll see you every Tuesday on the Metaverse podcast. Peace.
Easy. I don't know why I chuck deuces. Like I don't chuck deuces. What was that?
Jason Earls.
Oh, what's up, my brother?
Man, that's listening to that intro. That is my second favorite quote in there. When you say it seems to be helping people.
What's your first one?
My first one is, of course, Chuck Deuces. I don't even Chuck Deuces.
That is great, dude. Yeah, that's
man, it's good to see you, my friend.
Man, I was driving down the street yesterday and just thinking, man, I'm so grateful for my dude, the unemployed alcoholic. And just the conversations and how the podcast and everything that we talk about, how it translates into real life.
Yeah.
In fact, it was some encouragement that I got from this podcast in the Metaverse that I was just kind of encouraging my wife with, man. It's pretty awesome.
Cool. Can you share some more about that, or?
Yeah, it was man, something. What was it? That something happened, and my wife got it bothered her a little bit, and I was like, yeah, that is. I see that it could bother you. I said one thing I was reminded of that I do, but I didn't put this formula to it always, and that was when Sensei Jay said, you know what? We can make a choice. If you keep on saying you're gonna have a bad day, you're gonna have a bad day. And just like, that's man, right. Just embrace. So in this particular thing, I was like, man, let's just embrace it and just say, man, we get to be a part of this jacked up thing that just happened.
Man, yeah, just embrace it. Just embrace it. It's two funny things about that. One, I just before logging on, I had a conversation with Sensei Jay, and of course, like he plays such a huge role in this, editing stuff together, the videography behind it. But we had a chance to kind of sit back and talk strategically about some stuff. Like, okay, like this is what we're seeing strategically. How do we approach this from a videography perspective? And
right.
Man, that dude is full of wisdom. That dude is full of skills. Like, how lucky are we? How lucky are we?
Absolutely. I'm like, not only does Sensei Jay need to be on the board of directors, but he need to be an elder at his church. Maybe
town mayor. Like,
right, absolutely, elder. Yeah, elder statesman. But Sensei Jay for Congress. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. Yeah, but the other thing that rings true about that is there's been a little bit of discussion amongst in our producers chat about a new update that rolled out, and how there's some glitches and there's some problems and there's some struggles, and we just had conversation back and forth about there's a cost to being early adopters. There's a cost for us to be in this platform, growing with it as it's being developed and as it's being built. And some of that is unexpected things, glitches, challenges that come along. But man, there's benefits. Like there's just good things. Like, I mean, not the least of which, rubbing elbows with people like Sensei Jay. Oh, are you? Look at me. I've been neglecting comments, and we got a lot of them.
I got your back, brother.
All right. Excellent.
The queen is here. I also thought about the Queen, man, so you got to get this, Solaris. Listen to this. Man, so my daughter likes video editing. I need to make her a pupil of Sensei J. So my daughter enjoys editing. I picked her up yesterday. She like, Dad, this kid showed me his video and said, look what I edited. What do you think? And she said, Dad, it really wasn't that good. But I didn't want to say that. I was like, let me tell you what the Queen said. Like, y'all, listen, the Metaverse people are helping me disciple and raise my kids, man. I was like, listen. The Queen just said, I said, here's what you tell them. You like, hey, it looks great for a kindergartner. Now, if you want to be a big time, you just need to make these adjustments. So, yeah, man.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, we got some other comments here. You want to pull another one up, or
the Exterminator's in the building.
Exterminator. Yeah. So Exterminator pays close attention. He knows who's coming up, and it's Bob Smiley. Yeah.
Yes. I'm
Exterminator
so excited, man.
His surrogate dad.
And what's cool about Bob Smiley is dude is like, I'm just gonna say, I called it. when you and I first talked about Bob Smiley being in the metaverse, I was like, he's gonna crush it.
Oh yeah.
Just knowing Bob Smiley, his writing style, his comedy style, the impact that he's made in the comedy world, just with not just comedians, but with people who love comedy. I'm like, this dude and his style step in the metaverse is like, there goes that man.
Dude, and you were right. Like, I mean, I heard people that were fortunate enough to be in there when Bob performed. Like, I mean, they were moved by the comedy. Like, they were like, this is a different level. I mean, he crushed it. He really
absolutely did. And fitting with the metaverse. Not only is this dude like heck of funny, one of the funniest, man, he's also just this very introspective, very heavy dude. It's like, man, it's so much more to Bob. Like, I get encouraged. I'm consistently learning, not just about comedy, but just about life from this dude. So it's just, man, God has just blessed us with some awesome comrades in this thing called comedy, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna say one more nice thing about him too while he's not on the feed yet and can't defend himself or can't sidestep it. Like in setting up and doing shows with Bob and setting up for this podcast, his professionalism is second to none. Like this man, well in advance of when something needs to happen, he's looking for all the details. He's thinking it through. He's coming up with his game plan, and he's ready. Like man, this like he can. Well, actually, not he can. He will end up writing the book on how to prepare to do comedy in the metaverse. You know, I mean, this dude.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a different level, and I'm quite sure because I showed up late, everybody, for our pre-production meeting. Just FYI. Y'all, I've got in a 12-hour fight with a printer, y'all.
All right, so now don't read too much into that. Now
I'm not.
That wasn't like an underhanded.
Do this comedy. Relax, calm down, bro. I just saw opportunity for comedy. Just y'all, I've literally been fighting with a printer for 12 hours, man. Bob said, I was like, I'm going to accomplish this goal before I step foot in this backstage in the virtual world.
Yeah.
And when you text me, I was like, yep, I'm too caught up.
Well, wait. Actually, though, that's not what you said. Here.
Yeah, like, you said how we looking. He said how we looking, everybody.
Yeah, I texted how we looking. This was about 12 minutes into it, and we got a good buffer. there, but you said handsome, bro, as always. Which I heart emojied, of course, because
That's great.
yeah. I love your responses to text because you use those GIFs and they're you in the GIFs, and there's a whole bunch of them. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Let me just tell you, man, I just want to what we say, when you see technology in this wave, you got to jump on it and you better be consistent. And that's what I saw with the gifts. I saw that there were no comedians who were really using gifts. Like you had, like John Chris has some, Kevin Hart has some, Dave Chappelle has some, but the three of those, other people have been making them.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like, okay, with gifts, this is a language that's being created, and anybody can add their own words to the English, to this new language that's being created. So why don't I jump on it? And I jumped on it right when the pandemic started, dude. And let me just tell you, man, this is probably, gifts are the most successful thing that I have going on in the in the stand-up comedy world. And you might not be able to see this, but dude, I have a total of 295.4 million views of my gift.
That's a lot. That's a lot of exposure, and yeah, that's huge. That's because I have a couple of gifts floating around out there, and I have 8 views.
That's hysterical. Actually, I said that I was like, I need to make some soapstone. Gifts. So I'll get on that. That'll change. By next week, we'll have some. Write that on my board. We'll have some gifts for the metaverse. And yes, I'll have one for you, Bob Smiley.
Actually, Bob says you guys are cool, but bring out the comedian. All right.
I was like, yo, we gotta. This is too much fun. I know he's
chomping at the bit.
I started writing some stuff. I'm like, dude, he writing some bits. Okay, I'm by myself. Yeah, Aaron got kicked out. I don't know what just happened to him. So let's come back on, brother.
Right. Dude. Hey, I got so excited. I'm like, I'm gonna go backstage and see him.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring out Bob Smiley.
What's up, Bob? What's up, bro?
Bob, I guess I like your shirt. You've just got it labeled right off the bat.
Evidently, you got to tell people. And I really wanted to be on this show, but I feel like you guys rushed the segment where you were talking about how much I crush it. So,
you want us to go back to that?
Yeah.
Like maybe revisit.
I really hope my dad's watching, so he knows that I'm actually good at this. So, no, thank you guys. You guys are awesome friends of mine and very encouraging. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And in all seriousness, again, I know we've talked about it and we talked about it earlier in the podcast, but your style, your stage presence, your rhythm, which you had to adjust for the metaverse, like it connected. It was very, very good.
Well, as long as we're patting everybody on the back, I'm going to tell Jason gave me the best advice early on. Well, first he told me not to do it because he didn't need the competition. But and when I pushed in, I was like, I waited till I knew he wasn't listening. He was making gifs of himself. And so I was like, seriously, tell me how to do this. And he was like, you've got to wait an extra beat. When you deliver a punchline, you got to wait. And I get accused of going too fast anyway, because I'm like, all right, I'm going to sling them out and whatever you catch, great. But if not, this train's going. And so when I started getting up there, I kept remembering exactly what he said. I got to take an extra beat. And so that's why I'm learning how to move around. I think we talk about it on the clip, but moving around gives me that extra beat where I'm still doing something. Because I've never been a comic that can just stand there and be like, all right, I'll wait 3. So it really is a mind meld of figuring out like where the delay needs to be. So yeah, I appreciate Jason giving me that advice early on.
Yeah, good stuff. Oh, Harleywood's getting in here on the congrats. He said Bobbert was great on the Soapstone stage. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
That is great.
Yeah, and I want to thank Jason for letting me take over his podcast.
Yeah, shout out to Oculus for
timing. Yeah, it was,
on that Friday. Yeah, it was.
I was literally sitting up in the stands as you guys were getting ready to start it, and it was my first time seeing it and everything. And I really was sitting there, and we all have a little jealousy streak as a comedian. And I was like, man, how do I get my own podcast? And then I was like, oh, just show up to Jason's. And when he doesn't show up, then
absolutely send Jason to a school district who doesn't have great Wi-Fi when you got your show. Dude, I was suffering because I was like, yo, this is Bob Smiley,
right?
Aaron Sorrels. We got 3 comedians. This is going to be the best one ever.
It was. I went back and watched the other one.
Oh, you went back and watched the other one?
Yeah, and it was your best one. It was good.
That is hysterical.
Man, it's nice to have friends in the business, isn't it?
Take me out. Yeah, I see what y'all doing. Get rid of the black guy. Yeah, that's what it is.
we sent you out to see if you're safe, and then now
right.
Let's make Jason's podcast great again. I get it.
It's funny though to take a step back and look at that from a practical standpoint. Like Jason and I did the whole first season with just he and I just talking once a week, and we would record it and then always air it at the same time. But that gave us the flexibility because Jason's traveling all over the place, and that gave us the flexibility that if we had to bump it up earlier or later, we could do that. Part of the cost of filming in front of a live studio audience in the metaverse is, we've got that regimented time. So like you end up in a situation where Jason's traveling, he's in the middle of a show, he still works it out to where he can break away and do it. And then the Wi-Fi, you've got to do a blood sample and provide your social security number in order to get the Wi-Fi, and he couldn't get on. But it's nice to have a village. Again, Oculus 410 stepped in, and he always makes fun of me because I throw him on stage every time we see each other, and he's like, "Oh, okay, all right, I guess I'll co-host."
He nailed it. Like, I didn't know. I'd met him one other time, just like bumping around the metaverse, but that dude got up and like you could tell he was profession. He had great questions and interacted well and stuff. And in all seriousness, like I love that you guys are just keeping with it, even when you hit bumps of the road. Because I have gone back and listened to some of your stuff, and it's helping people. Like I was having trouble sleeping, but I listened to the second one, and man, right to sleep.
Yeah, just like boom. Yeah.
You guys are healers.
Yeah. What is it? ASRM? Is that the
I'm not good at spelling, but go ahead.
You're like, that's not how you spell sleep at all.
Great white noise. Just great white noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is good stuff, man. I'm so happy to have you involved in the metaverse. Like we were talking about this a little bit earlier. With the bumps in the road, with the things that are coming with being in this growing platform, those of us that are in here early, we get to pour into what this place is going to be. We get to put our stamp on what the culture is going to look like, what interpersonal relationships are going to look like. And man, I'm so happy that you are part of crafting that, Bob, because your persona, who you are, needs to be imprinted on the metaverse. That sounded a lot weirder when I said it out loud than in my head, but we need to imprint Bob Smiley's persona on the metaverse. Like anybody who's watching that's like
a little funny. I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
I'm glad we're doing this through through the Wi-Fi, not in the same. Well, I'm going to give you a compliment. I've been doing stand-up for almost 25 years, and my kids, they like it, but they've never been impressed. And then I went to the CCA, and you gave me that Oculus and told me about all this, and I came home with the Oculus, and all of a sudden my kids were like, You got an Oculus? Because you're running this. So you gave me street cred with all my kids and their friends. Like, oh, he must be legit if he's getting, into
Right?
the.
Forget a house. Forget
Dad's
college
legit.
tuition.
That's
Forget
right.
vehicles, insurance, and dentist appointments. You're like, he got
Dad's
an
got
Oculus.
an
He is the
Oculus.
man.
They're literally standing in a house that was paid for by a Chuck E. Cheese bit, and yet the Oculus was the big deal. Like that was like, man.
Right, man. So this is so cool and so fun that we can connect together like this. This is, talking about continually kind of tweaking the formula, and that one of the things that we've noticed is the dynamics of us all interacting on camera is super valuable. And in the past, we had been cutting that a little bit short with the idea of getting to the metaverse footage. So now taking a little bit more time to being able to just connect like this and talk before we get to the metaverse footage, I think is helpful. But we do have metaverse footage. So let's go ahead and pull up our first clip of Bob Smiley in the metaverse on the Metaverse podcast. Here we go.
Well, I got to ask you,
Yeah.
you have that cool beanie on, and the look is just amazing. Do you wear stuff like that in the real life, or you just wanted to really look fancy in the metaverse?
I'm going to be honest. I had my 12-year-old do my avatar, so I honestly don't know what I look like. So I could be
actually
Dolly
gonna
Parton
ask
right
that.
now. And I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Well,
at least I think you made me a
look
dude.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So now you know what your 12-year-old thinks of you. Like, this is how they see you.
Yeah, I really should check this out. So I have a beanie on.
Yeah, you should. I guess you can't look up at your beanie. There's a mirror.
Yeah,
when
there's
you start,
no.
though.
Oh, there is.
Well, that mirror. You
I have
can't
so
see.
much
Just
to
take
learn
the
on
picture.
here.
The one thing I love about the metaverse and
Oh, I
creating
look
your
good.
avatar, you can really be exactly the way you want. And I noticed a few less freckles on your face too. Is that something that you miss, or maybe you're-
No, this is exactly how I look in real life. Everyone,
Oh,
no need to
perfection.
Google it. Just take my word for it. This is exactly
confetti
what
for
I look
the
like.
perfection complexion of Bob Smiley, everyone?
Yeah, that's spot on. Oh my goodness.
First time seeing yourself in the metaverse. This is really
I actually
excellent,
look like a
everyone.
real adult because in real life I am like super skinny. Like I'm the only one in this room that can use chapstick as deodorant. So that's basically what I look like in real life.
How long does that last, by the way?
It lasts a long time. I look like I went to a blood bank and forgot to say when. So that's basically my body type. I don't know how you set that up, but I actually
Just
look
slide
cool
that
in that
slider
photo.
all the way left. Like, let's just
Just
left.
all the
Left.
way. Yeah. Make it look like where he really can't stand up on his own. Like that's what I want to look like. So.
Man.
Okay, so true story. Is this how you guys do it? Then you talk about the.
Oh yeah. This is how we do it now.
I did. Oh yeah, this is my podcast. I forgot. They set up because Jason, your avatar looks just like you. Like it's phenomenal. But when I was setting mine up, I really did not know how to use it. And my 23-year-old and my 12-year-old were there, and they're the ones that are the big gamers. And so they said, here, we'll do it. And they set me up, but I didn't know what I looked like. So for the first, I think 2 weeks that I was just popping in and stuff, I had like a Chinese like mustache, like little thing hanging off. And I had all these, I think I had like big hoop earrings and all this stuff. And then whenever I told them that I was getting ready to start getting up on stage and doing stuff, my 12-year-old was like, well, hold on, let me tweak something. And I guess he fixed it because I think he was nervous that I'd find out. But I didn't even think of it. That's another deal. Like I didn't even think about what I look like. I just thought, oh, I'll get up there and it'll be me. But you got to think of those kind of things too.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
My 12-year-old said, Dad, I need to make some adjustments to your Oculus, to your avatar. So he came in, he was like, I need to make, and he made a few adjustments. I really can't tell, but if you were able to tell when the switch over, like, oh, you got a little facelift, you got a little nose job, and all that stuff. So I think it's great when you have younger kids, because it allows us to introduce the metaverse of some of the systems that are part of the Oculus to our kids and do that stuff with them. I think that's just a good parenting cheat code, everybody.
Yeah.
They were, because I always try to teach them. Like, I was like, hey, if you're playing Pitfall, I can show you how to stand on the alligator's head. But that's I guess that good advice is no longer needed. But they teach me so much, and again, that's all about parenting is just being involved with your kids. So sometimes they're going to teach you, sometimes you teach them, but as long as we're all doing stuff together, man, that's the important part.
Yeah. Boy, you make an important point there about like the self-awareness, though, how you were in there operating and you didn't have the self-awareness of what you looked like, and how important that is. So, I've kind of adjusted my process a little bit as I'm exposing people to the metaverse. One of the first things that I'm going to do is allow them to spend a little bit of time in front of a mirror in the metaverse so they can see who they are and get a feel for what the movements look like and what facial expressions are and all that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you and I talked about that because before I did the actual show, like the full length show, you need to tell me how to get back to this, but I was in a holding pattern thing and I turned to my right and there was a full mirror. And so while I was waiting for you guys to get ready, I kind of went through all my stories and did the movements to see what I could get away with movement wise. And I ended up adding 2 other stories that I didn't think would work in the metaverse. But then I realized like, oh, I can do my head up like this, or I can move my body to the side, and things that are kind of essential to the jokes. And like just standing in front of that mirror was crucial. So yeah, that's an important part.
Yeah, I made kind of the same mistake with my wife. I invited her into the metaverse for a metaverse date, and after the whole thing, she's like, yeah, it was really strange because I didn't know what I looked like. Plus, on top of that, like I created her avatar. So if you're wondering how strong our relationship is, like I actually stepped up and felt like I could create the avatar for my wife. My wife's a beautiful person, but we all know like the question, hey, do these jeans make my butt look big? Like it's a dangerous dangerous area. But,
yeah, I can imagine, dude. Like, so you think I look that fat, or so you want me skinny like that?
That's right. Like there's a fine line. Like you gotta nail it, or just keep her away from all mirrors in the metaverse. That's like
I love like stressful, like thinking through what is most stressful moments. And just standing there with that sliding that moves your body up and down, such a stressful moment for a husband. Like, you don't want to make him too skinny where they're like, oh, is that what you want me to look like?
Right.
You don't want to like hit. Oh, that's hilarious, guys.
Is that why you stayed talking to her so long? Because she's that skinny because you want? Yeah, but
that's right. But it all worked out. Still married. 28 years of marriage now. So,
hey, have y'all learned there's certain places where you shouldn't take your Oculus in the house? I made this mistake. So one night, my wife and my daughters were watching a movie downstairs, and so my creative space, this creative space right here, is right around the corner from our main movie watching room. So I like, you know what? I'm just gonna go upstairs. I don't, if I go up to the other family room, the noise is gonna pick up. Let me go into my room and get on the Oculus. So I'm sitting in my chair by my bed, and my wife didn't know. And dude, it's like 12:30. So she walks in the room, and as she's walking in the room, she think I'm in the bed asleep. And all she hears is some female voice and me talking. And she was like, listen,
kicked open.
She was like, listen, I trust you, but that was awkward. She like just coming up in my room that my husband and I share and hear another woman's voice. I like, yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, that was Bob Smiley. I was showing him how to do.
I was gonna
Don't
say
worry about
I had Smiley on speakerphone. She'd be like, "Oh, okay, that makes
I was like,
it's Bob from State Farm.
right.
this doesn't have anything to do with the metaverse, but I do a Average Boy podcast for the Average Boy series that I write. And so the first time we did the podcast, so Average Boy is a middle school kid, and they wanted me, since I write the series, they want me to do the voice. And we got in the studio, and I was going to make Average Boy's voice like, you know, a junior high kid's, like really up high and everything. And so I was like, "Hey, welcome to the official Average Boy podcast." And the producer goes, "Bob, no, we just want your regular voice." And I was like, "Yeah, we're supposed to be a middle school kid." And he goes, "Yeah, we're good."
That's right.
Isn't that fun when you get cast for something that that you come to find out like you're perfect for just as you are? I had a producer call me up and invite me to do a music video, and I asked them what's the role? Uppity religious guy who rejects people based on how they look. Like,
We're good. I don't have to change.
right. Yeah. I said, what do I wear? What do I do with wardrobe? He says, wear your exact normal clothes. Oh, good.
Do you?
Yeah, just do you.
Yeah. Hey man, can we shout out Kimberly? Just one of our faithful,
Oh man,
faithful podcast. I would say commenters.
yeah.
What's up,
Kimberly is awesome. Oh, and she says, "Kudos, brave man, to create my wife's avatar." Yeah, yes, indeed. Yep. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, Kimberly. Kimberly and Kimberly is one of our best laughers and supporters from the audience. It's just great to see her doing her thing. And actually, Bob, at your show, there was another person that really jumped out and was great. Cha-ching Master, like her laughter. Talk about her laughter,
man. So I get up and I jumped up on stage a couple of times, but it was like during the day. So it was all kids that were supposed to be in school, but and they were in avatar bodies that were like huge, crazy, like big. And then you'd hear, "Hey, that was really funny," So I the first time I got up and I was like trying out. So this was the actual show, the actual like long form. And so I was a little bit nervous, which I hadn't been nervous in probably 20 years. And so I go out, I tell the first joke, and I hear this lady to my left, stage left, cackling. And it literally, her laughter like washed over me. And it was like a soothing blanket of like, oh, I can do this. Like, this is going to be good. And she was with me the whole time. She was the only one, but
yeah,
over there.
Yeah, Bob, you talk about performing for kids, and that I know you've got a clip that we had from there where you kind of addressed that too. I'm gonna play that right now.
Okay. When I first started doing comedy, I was mainly traveling with bands, but I started getting all these youth group for churches, like youth group shows. And for 3 years, I did around 95 shows a year for youth groups. And I couldn't figure out why I was getting all these shows because I was just starting out. So, and then now that when I started meeting other comedians, I found out that most comics, they'll do any show except for kids. Like they're petrified of performing for kids, which was great. So the first 3 years I cleaned up because I would go in and, I had no problem doing shows for kids. And I did have like several booger jokes and, those kind of things, story about going to Chuck E. Cheese and all that kind of stuff that just fit. I was like, these are my people. Yeah. So the soapstone is a nice little step to make me, remember what it was like.
Oh man, let's talk a little bit about that. When you see 95+% of the field moving away from something, how it can be beneficial to move into it. Like,
what do you mean?
So, I mean, you were talking about how, like performing for kids, you end up like 95% of comedians or the vast majority of comedians, like they'll run away from that. And you leaned into it, and it sounded like you got huge benefit out of it, huh?
I definitely did. I would love to sit here and tell you that I leaned into it because I was wise and but I just didn't know. I didn't know I was leaning into something that most comics like ran away from. It wasn't until I started meeting other guys like John Branyan and Thor Ramsey and people like that were like, you do youth groups. In fact, good friend of mine, John Chris, I met him one time in St. Louis because we were doing shows together. So we just met for dinner. And it was weird meeting him because I thought he was taller than me, but he's, just under 6 foot. And so then he called me like 2 weeks later and he was like, hey, I'm playing in Houston. Can I meet you for lunch? And as soon as we sat down, he goes, all right, I'm doing a youth event. Like, tell me what I need to do. And I'm like, you're an established comic, have been doing comedy clubs for, 5 years or 3 years or whatever, however long you've been doing it. He was getting ready to open for Seth Meyers in Denver. And he had opened, I think for like Louis Anderson, like some big name comics. And he was like, you could tell he was going to be a star and he was a good looking dude and all that. And we were sitting at Cane's, not a sponsor. And he was like, tell me how to do youth groups. And I was like, dude, you're younger than me. And you're like this good, but for some reason people are petrified. And I kind of get it because kids come in and they'll sit down and they kind of fold their arms and they're like, okay, make me like you. Where normal audiences, they come in, they're like, oh, we're ready to laugh. Let's start. And like youth group kids, man, or just kids in general, just come in and be like, all right, you got to really earn my laughs. And so, but I kind of leaned into it, not knowing that I was leaning into a storm. But as I got in the storm, I'm very goal oriented. So I was like, I'm gonna find out how to make these people laugh. I'm gonna, and I would watch the kids come in, and I would pick out who I could tell were the leaders and who probably were the problem ones. And I was like, I'm focusing on those first, and I'm gonna if I get them to laugh, everybody else is going to follow suit on that. And so I learned a lot of little tricks of the trade in that. But yeah, for a long time, probably 5 years, I was doing every youth group event, that was out there. And I thought, oh man, I'm good. And it was just because everybody else was saying no.
No, do you find,
Jason, because you do all kinds of kids stuff, right?
Yeah, and I cracked the code. Well, I figured out the formula that. But Bob is different. Watching Bob work a youth crowd and the way that I work it is a little different. Bob, it seems, Bob, like your style remains consistent. And I think because you got the quick one-liners and like the zingers that's real funny and like the comedy's really sharp. My stuff kind of like I do a lot of storytelling in the midst of it. And so what I've learned is when you tell a joke with kids, when you tell a joke normally, you hit the punch, everybody laughs, you beat, and then you start, you do the next setup, next joke, next punch, they laugh. With teenagers, what I found is you give the punch, they laugh, they got to repeat what you said, laugh again, then they got to tell their friends what it reminds them about. And then they laugh again. And then you can tell your next joke.
Man, that's good right there because if you move on too quickly, you're going to lose the audience immediately. That's insightful right there.
And nowadays you have to pause long enough for them to add it to their Snapchat story. Got to give a little bit longer pause than normal.
Yeah, dude. I did an event in Cleveland 3 weeks ago with not just teenagers, but all teenage boys who were all competing a few moments prior to this in football. It was a flag football, two rival high schools, and they got in a room. They had a band, and they were like, whatever, let the band, we still talking football. Then they had a speaker, and they were, they weren't super impressed with the speaker. I was like, dude, I'm in trouble. And I got up there, and I was hit. I threw one joke out. They didn't bite it. I was like, uh-oh. And so it took me about 15 minutes. Like, all right, now we got him. Ha! But that thing took some work, bro.
Yeah.
Plus, you got to get them, and you got to get them quick, because if you give them the first minute and a half, but that's why I think our styles are different, but you're intriguing in your story. So if you're not hitting the punchline fast, your setups are intriguing. So you're taking them along for a story. So it's almost, we did a show in Dallas together one time. You actually bailed out because another comic that was supposed to be there didn't show up. I don't know if you remember that. And
I do. Yeah.
You showed up, and I literally stood in the back and watched, and you would start your setup of the story, and I would see people leaning forward like you were drawing, like physically drawing them in. And then you'd hit it with a punchline, and they would sit back and laugh. And then you start up again, and they would like lean. And I was like, that's a flow, man. That's the way to do it. Like, I can't do that. That's not my style, but it's a very fun style to watch.
Appreciate that, homie.
Look at this, our friend June Colson. June Bug. June, hey, June, you got to get into the metaverse, because the name June Bug, I mean, that's made for the metaverse. June repeats herself to her teen all the time, but he still doesn't laugh. I guess take out the trash. Did you take out the trash is not a good punchline. Nice, June.
No, that's a line that gets them punched. That's
oh, there you go. Yeah, punchline can mean a whole bunch of different things.
Right.
Yeah. Man, that's good. In the soapstone, there was a little while back where the question started coming up about kids, because at the time there was some confusion on, okay, who's allowed to be in Horizon Worlds, and what we landed on after looking at stuff was the game is rated teen, so in reality teens are allowed to be there. So 13 and up are all allowed to be there. Now the soapstone is designed to be an adult experience, a clean comedy experience, but clean comedy for adults. And so then we had to really figure out, okay, how are we going to address this and or embrace it and or police it, or whatever needs to happen. And what we decided is to make sure that people 13 and up know that they're welcome, but know that it's intended to be an adult experience. So if they get disruptive, then they'll be removed. So they won't be removed for being 13, but they'll be removed if they're being disruptive.
So really quick story, because like you gave me the Oculus, you gave me instructions, and I came home, and the first time I had a chance to do it, put it on. I actually texted you to walk me through how to get to the soapstone, and it was in the middle of the day. And so I walked in the soapstone, and this was my very first impression. There was a kid in there, and you know the kid I'm talking about because we've met him several times. And there was a ventriloquist dummy, and I just walked into the soapstone. There was two people over at one of the booths, and he was just up on stage just punching the dummy. And I was like, "Hey, this is great!" It was so. I was like, "Oh, this is where it's going." Like, and then the other story, really quick. When you and I, the very first time, and Jason, I think you were, no, maybe Jason wasn't there, but the first time I got up just to practice being on stage, and there was about 13, 14 people in there, and I figured out really quickly they were all kids. They were all kids. Yeah. And so I started making fun of them because, nice, because, obviously I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but I was making fun of them, and it turned into just this ad lib like crowd work.
Yeah.
Show. And I was like, we got to get some adults in here so I can
that was great. I remember the beginning of that set, and I mean, we walked in and looked around, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be rough. And you're like, I'm game. I'm gonna get up and do my thing. And you got up on stage and you did a setup, and a kid just started talking directly to you, like not heckling, just asking you about what color the sky is at night or whatever. Like,
hey, where were you born?
Right, exactly.
I'll get to that, but
yeah. Well, and then I think you handled it perfectly though. You were like, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt your interruption with my conversation up here, or something
That's
along those
funny.
lines. It was
Yeah, I was
great.
like, I didn't mean to talk while you were interrupting my show.
That's right. That's
Sorry.
right. Yeah.
And here's what kid this is how you know as a kid. You'll just be talking, and then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
why am I being harassed by a little kid
Right. Yeah.
and a broom right now?
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll tell you, you know, thinking back on that decision on which way to go with it, I'm so glad that we went the way that we went. Because, you know, for a couple things. Because one, to try to keep it clean comedy, it actually helps that people know that there can be kids there.
Mhm.
There are places that that say this is 18 and up only, and the message that conveys is this is rated R or worse, and anything goes in here. And I really don't want that for the soapstone. So it's been interesting to look at it from that dynamic. And then the other thing, man, there are some incredible kids that come through the soapstone. Talented, funny, engaging. Like one person came through as we were doing like a talk show setup, and man, we're up talking about some really deep stuff. And this young lady chimes in and she says, I think what you're saying here is that we should just be our authentic selves, even when we're facing hardship. And I'm like, what? We got to have you as a guest on the podcast.
I think you're looking for the Dr. Phil metaverse down the
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron, I just want to say, like, this is a leadership lesson, bro. Because I remember the day after, or hours after you made the call to say we will keep it open to kids, and dude, the backlash that came from that. I mean, man, the soapstone.
I have apologized for that. Okay.
Bob Smiley wasn't even in the metaverse, and he's like, bah, 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 bah,
and I was like, yeah, dude. So yeah, one guy came to me and it was like, man, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like, man, I can't stand Aaron's a great guy, but he's making a horrible decision. And I was like, Bob, you just got the Oculus. You haven't even logged on it yet. You got to cut that mess out, bro. Like, that's not even cool. That is just straight Discord. But man, I tell you, shortly after that, I had to make a call as a dad that nobody in the family liked. My wife didn't like it. My kids didn't like it. And it wasn't a super hard decision. Like, you know, this is what we're going to do today. This is how it is. And dude, everybody was bent out of shape. You know, and my amazing supportive wife was just like, bruh, we really doing this? I'm like, baby, I know it. But yes. And I instantly thought, this is what Aaron felt in the soapstone. And I know everybody who, like, all leaders make this decision. Like, sometimes you're the only you're the only guy or the only girl in your company, in your organization, in your family that makes this call. And sometimes it's tough. Leadership is a very lonely road sometimes.
Yeah. There's been a handful of those decisions where I've had to look at and I'm like, man, there really isn't a good option here. Like, it's not that this is the way and this isn't. It's that both of these options have incredibly negative consequences that come along with them. And I've had to make that decision in again, several different cases. And we're still here, you know.
Yeah.
So something's been all right with it. So
that's good, man.
Yeah,
that's good. And what's great is you got, and right after that, you got Bob Smiley, who's a grown man with a little kid voice. So it works out. Like, he's the best in the world.
I know. When I got up and that kid started talking to me when I was just like trying to get comfortable on stage, I was like, oh, that's a kid. And then my first thought was, I wonder how many people thought that about me when I just walked up to him and started talking. Like, oh man, 12-year-old. Yeah.
You know, that is seriously another piece of it. Another piece of it is, you know, I've talked to grown people that have very undeveloped voices. and the discrimination that they face in there, it's ridiculous. They end up getting bullied and pushed out of places, and I'm like, listen, we're not going to do that. If we're not going to say it seems like this person is young, so we're going to boot them. Now, if it seems like they're young and they're being disruptive, goodbye. But if it just seems like they're young, then they're welcome. We got what? Or go ahead, Bob.
I was gonna say I've learned to ask them what their Minecraft skin looks like, and if they answer immediately, I'm like, okay, that's a kid.
Okay, that's a kid. Yeah, that's good stuff. I know we've got another.
If you say solitaire or Fortnite, which one?
Right. We got another clip from you, Bob, that I want to play about you really looking at the differences between performing in real life and virtual reality. So here we go.
One of the themes of this is navigating the explosive growth in the metaverse. What are that you've been here?
I don't know if it's been an explosive growth. It's more like the little firecracker with the little wick that just goes like that. That's basically my thing, because I've been warned that your delivery has to be slower. You have to give people time to process and all that stuff. And the first time I got up, I do rapid fire, like, all right, come with me for an hour and I'm going to just take you on this ride. And it's just boom, 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 boom. And I got up there and I did 3 jokes. And then I'm looking at the crowd and they're starting to laugh at the first joke. And I'm like, oh, they just missed 2. Oh. So it definitely has been a learning experience of how to deliver stuff in the metaverse. And everybody's got different Wi-Fi connections. Mine's pretty good today because my neighbor just upgraded his Wi-Fi. So it's working well today. But so there's all these different things that you have to think about. And I move around on stage a lot. So when I'm doing stand-up. And so I had to learn how to move on stage with my controller to make me feel comfortable like I was actually doing stand-up. So there's a whole mental game going on of trying to make it create it where it feels like an actual show. And so it took me a really long time to figure that out. Yeah, I've never worried about falling off a stage in real life. And one of my biggest concerns the few times I've been up in the metaverse is, and I think I fell off stage one time when you were there, Aaron, where I'm just I'm moving around and but I can't look down because I'm trying to engage with it. And I just popped off stage, and this was early on. So I didn't know how to get back up on stage. So I was I guess I'm going to do my act from here. So yeah, there's so many variables in it.
That's an early on skill that people learn in the metaverse is how to jump. I remember when Jason learned how to jump in the metaverse, he was on stage. He did his whole set, which, by the way, typically there's an orientation period where people need to come into the metaverse and get used to it. Jason, within 5 minutes of being in the metaverse, he's get me on that stage. And he just jumped up and just riffing, just in off the cuff jokes about, somebody asking him for a spare credit card number out in front of the club and talking about the white ring and all this stuff. But man, now I totally forgot where I was going originally.
It was somebody in the crowd who jumped, and I was like, "Yo, how do you do that?"
That's right. So Kyle Yamada, a good friend of ours, got on stage after Jason, and Jason jumped down and then was figuring out how to jump. So Kyle's up trying to do comedy, and Jason's right in front of the stage after crushing a set. And the whole audience is over there trying to teach Jason how to jump. It was so fun, man.
And Aaron graciously said, "Hey, come over here. Just show you how to do that."
Yeah,
Aaron is the greatest metaverse usher in the world.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Sturminator has it here. Press the right thumbstick.
Sturminator, he's got the right info. If you need anything, go to Sturminator. He's gonna help you.
That's right. That's right.
He's the one who got me to Jason, now Bob Smiley's podcast. I showed up at the Soapstone, and I was just standing over there, asking for spare credit cards. And he came up to me and he was like, "Are you going to the Jason thing?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so he whatever the terminology is, like transported me to that. And then I pulled him aside and I was like, "Dude, okay, show me again. How do I do the thumbs up or the laugh emojis and all that?" Like, so he walked me through it before we went in to do all that stuff. So yeah, he's definitely a go-to guy.
That's what makes him an amazing host. Like,
absolutely.
If Sturminator's in the room and I need something, the Sturminator's gonna help me. Appreciate you, Sturmster.
Yeah, he stepped up also this past Friday at the recording
He did.
session. Yeah, stepped up huge and just got up in the booth at a moment's notice. Like, hey, guess what? You're running the booth today, and and he did great. He did great.
We told him like Bob Smiley was gonna show up to do the booth, but Bob paid me back. Like, since Jason didn't show up, I'm not showing up.
Yeah.
I was working that night. That was the one night this month that I was working. So.
Bruh, the struggle is real.
Yeah.
I do love that this is part of our job. And so several times my wife would open up the door and see me standing in my office with the Oculus on, and I'll pick it up and she'll be like, and I'm like, no, this is work.
Yeah.
This is work. So then I got to be quiet while I'm shooting stuff,
Yeah.
Soapstone.
The running joke in my house, if they come past this door and see me with the Oculus, and somebody like, "Where's Dad?" They're like, "He's not here right now. He's out of town."
He's out of town. He's traveling.
He's traveling.
Yeah, but now my wife takes the different approach. Like she will come and very quietly open the door and like walk in, and next thing I know, I'll feel her breath like right on the back of my neck or something. Like, what's going on?
Hey, if I feel that, like, hey y'all, I gotta go.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I got another show to do.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Man, boy, I like the dynamics of this. Where we're getting together and doing the show in the metaverse for the audience that's there in the metaverse, and then taking a couple clips of that. Oh, Jason, that's it. He's out. Terry must have just come up and breathed on his neck there, but
we'll have him back in 3 minutes.
Yeah. No, he just had to step away for a second, but I love the dynamics of this, where we're doing the show in the metaverse for the audience in the metaverse, and then we're taking a couple clips from that and incorporating in this platform, but we're doing this show for the audience for this show. It's kind of like, instead of reliving what we did before, this is a whole new experience, and I've frankly missed this. In the first season, it was just me.
Oh, you missed me.
I did miss you. Yeah. That was a quick 3 minutes.
That's why I think Jason's the best comedian ever. Oh, he's back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was heartfelt, Bob. I never knew that you thought that about Jason.
Did you think the song's too much? I've never broken out in song like that, but
yeah, I was moved. I mean, I don't know. Did I get all the tears? That
it looks like they're gone now, man. They were flowing.
It was hard to get through. It was hard to get through.
Waterfalls, but man, there was one right in front of me.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Now he's got to go back and watch.
Right. Yeah, that's how we can get Jason to watch the replay.
No, I was focused. I heard you were saying how you missed this format, and that's what I would say I missed. And like, to everybody watching, like, this whole, again, this podcast is a journey. It's let's start this conversation and let's see where we go, and we just navigate. That's why we call it two comedians. Today is three comedians navigating explosive growth of the metaverse.
Or in
And
Bob's
and we
case, a little tiny trickle of growth with a tiny firecracker and a little wick.
right. So just the idea of, man, we're excited about, man, now we published Jason Earls Productions World. Let's go there. But then we were just missing this element. Like the in-world stuff is great, but this stuff is great as well. So we're just making sure we got the balance. So we appreciate everybody's patience with us.
Yeah. And more changes to come too. Like, I mean, this is a journey. Like we're on it together. It's a never-ending story, to quote the great James Sturman. Bob, you were going to say?
I was going to say it's like a never-ending story.
That's fair. And who made that quote originally? I can't remember. It was somebody super famous and great.
Now,
story.
Now we're competing against the quote. It's not just a journey; it's an adventure.
That's right. That's right. To anybody just listening to this on audio, we've got James Sturminator, and Lonnie kicking back and forth some quotes of wisdom that we're all just claiming as our own.
You can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be lead. And now I think we were just putting random stuff.
Yeah. Well, once again, this was so fun. And I'll tell you, I had a great experience last night. I actually was looking back through a bunch of the videos that we've got from in the Soapstone. And believe it or not, I found that it was painfully lacking anything of me doing comedy. So read into that as much as you want. But I mean, I've been in kind of a different mindset of administrator, of looking at things from a leadership perspective, looking at it from a show execution perspective. And I really haven't gotten up and performed much comedy in the Soapstone.
It's funny because you and I, when we first popped in together, like everybody was coming up to you and talking about, oh, he's the creator. And in my mind, that's what you were. And then you got up to introduce me, but you did stand up. And I literally was sitting in the audience going, oh yeah, he's a comedian. Even I kind of put that in a different compartment of like, like totally forgot but you're like the creator of all this. So you're wearing a lot of hats, man.
Yeah. Well, and last night I got the opportunity to get up. Yeah.
I got to shout out Akintunde, man. Another comedian, amazing dude, doing some amazing things. Yeah, that's Akintunde, bro.
No way, dude.
And he just got an Oculus too. So
come on,
man. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that dude.
Absolutely. Wow, that's cool to hear. No, that's I mean, that's actually where I was going with it. Like, I got the experience to get up last night and just straight up just do some stand up. There was somebody else hosting, somebody else producing, somebody else orchestrating the show. And I just got the chance to get up and do stand up. And hopefully, like, the three of us and Akatunde and I mean, the other folks that are in comedians that are involved can continue to have that experience of coming in and just doing comedy, because that's something we got to hang on to.
Yeah. I was wondering, man, who I wish I would have known, because I wanted to be able to set you up. I think you need to be set up just like you set up all the other professional comics when we come on. So I hope that was the case. So
yeah, so all right, so there is something coming up later at the end of this month. And I can't get into much of the details, but I can say I'm gonna be flown out to LA for a cool photo shoot. Something kind of fancy. Yeah.
Let's go.
This is not it's not what I normally do. Talk about what should I wear, and people are like, oh, we'll connect you to the wardrobe consultant, and they'll look at your closet and then provide whatever they see lacking. I'm like, well, you might as well just start from scratch.
You might as well show up with your drawers and a t-shirt on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I got a great Soapstone shirt that I'll wear. but with that, part of that is going to be pulling together a headliner style show where I'm headlining, and we got some other folks hosting and setting it up like you said, Jason, because that's yeah, that'll be huge.
The other thing is like, man, like when Aaron's setting the tone at the soapstone, I don't know if you know this, Bob. Like, it's like, hey man, I'm the captain of this ship. You know, hey, sit back and enjoy. Hey, but turn your music down, dude. Like, you know what? That's enough. You're out of here. It's amazing.
That's what he did for me. Was he just gathered everybody together, and because everybody was talking and people were trying to grab the donuts in the air and all the stuff that was going on, and I'm sitting over the side, not even knowing how to get on stage because I didn't know how to jump. And I was like, oh, this is going to be. And he gathered everybody up, did some jokes, got them there. And then he literally just handed them to me on a platter. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to have to do it over to the side because I, can't get on stage. But my turn. Waka, waka,
Yeah. Aaron, everybody who do not understand the metaverse, Aaron is the godfather of the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was going to end this podcast like 4 minutes ago, but we got at least 20 minutes left, guys.
Yeah, dude, it's straight godfather, man, which is great. It's like you speak, people listen. They say a real leader takes a walk and everybody follows him. But if you're not a leader, you just go on a walk by yourself, man.
Man, so in all seriousness, like, it's so comforting to my soul to hear you guys say that. I mean, you both are comedians that I've got incredible respect for. Like, I've seen the things that you guys have done. I've seen the way that you command a room. Like, it's incredible to hear you guys notice those things and compliment on them. And I continue to see him say that, prophetically say that the work is going to yield great dividends. Like, I mean, this is really cool. This is really, really cool to see people who I respect, people that I look up to, seeing what's happening here and just looking ahead to great things and recognizing great things that are happening. Thank you guys. I know
you're trying to end this, but there's a scene in Ocean's 11. So Brad Pitt and George Clooney are unknown people, and they're teaching this guy who's supposed to be a famous actor, in the movie, how to do poker. And then they walk outside and all these paparazzis are taking photos of this famous actor, and George Clooney and Brad Pitt just walk by and nobody even notices them. And so the first time I got on with you and we were hanging outside of the soapstone, everybody came over as soon as they saw us and they all wanted to talk to you. And I'm just standing there. And I'm like, I'm Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11. Awesome. I don't have to say anything. I can just stand here and everybody was like, yeah. And it was very cool. So you definitely are making a difference in people's lives, man. It's great.
Thanks. Thank you guys. And thank you to
bottom of my heart, Aaron. I just, as a guy who's been with you for a long time, I just want to say, man, you suck, dude. You suck, bro. Yes.
Here it is. Like,
don't know how else to say
like
it,
enough of this.
And we got an amen on the comment.
We got an amen.
Oh man,
We're
good to have
praying.
friends. That's all I'm saying.
By the way, who prays like that? Who prays like that?
I think isn't that the steeple thing? And what is that?
Yoga thing, I think.
That's a yoga thing. Harley. That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, well, this another quarter in.
Oh yeah. Oh man, this is great. This is great. Well, I just want to say once again, Bob, thank you for joining us on this. This has been just a wonderful experience talking with you. We'll be replaying the clips of all the nice things that you said about me and all that. And we are, the meter ran out, James says. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for being a part of the Soapstone. Thank you for being a part of Jason Earls Productions and the Metaverse podcast. Hope to catch you at 11 a.m. Eastern time at Jason Earls Productions in the Metaverse. And of course, every
On what
Tuesday
day?
here. Say that again.
On what day? Tell them what day.
Oh, did I not say what day? Man, see, I'm not very good at this. It's on Fridays in the Metaverse on Fridays at 11 a.m. at Jason Earls Productions. And then, of course, every Tuesday here at 1 p.m. Central, noon Eastern, live streaming with your comments. Thank you all very much. We will see you again soon.